Welcome to Spagtastic. In this lesson we are going to begin to learn how to use capital letters, full stops, question marks and exclamation marks at the end of our sentences. This is a level 1 skill. Let's begin by thinking about a sentence. A sentence is a group of words that make sense. A sentence must begin with a capital letter and it will end with a full stop, a question mark or an exclamation mark. We begin sentences with capital letters. Here are all of the capital letters you need to know. Capital letters always sit on the line, as you can see. Punctuation marks are symbols that we use in writing to separate sentences and make our writing easier to read. They tell the reader where to take a breath. At the end of a sentence, you can put a full stop, a question mark or an exclamation mark, and this is what they look like. Most sentences end with a full stop. The sentence after the full stop must begin with a capital letter. Here is an example. I have a kitten. You can see the first word I begins with a capital letter and there is a full stop at the end of the sentence after the word kitten. In the next sentence, it likes to play. The first word in the sentence it begins with a capital letter and there is a full stop at the end of the sentence after the word play. A question mark is used at the end of a sentence if the sentence is a question. A question is when you ask something and you expect an answer. For example, would you like an ice cream? The first word would begins with a capital letter and there is a question mark at the end of the sentence after the word cream. An exclamation mark is used at the end of a sentence to show strong feelings or surprise. For example, that's amazing. The first word that begins with a capital letter and there is an exclamation mark after the word amazing at the end of the sentence. An exclamation mark can also be used at the end of a sentence that begins with the word what or the word how. For example, what a beautiful picture. The first word what begins with a capital letter and there is an exclamation mark after the word picture at the end of the sentence. Now it's your turn. You are going to decide whether to use a full stop, a question mark or an exclamation mark at the end of this sentence. The sentence is, what time is it? But what punctuation mark do we need? Why not pause the video and have a think for yourself? What time is it is a question, so we need to end the sentence with a question mark. Here is another sentence. I live in a small house. Do we need a full stop, a question mark or an exclamation mark at the end of this sentence? Why not pause the video and have a think? I live in a small house needs a full stop at the end. It states a fact and it is not a question or an exclamation. Here is another sentence. What a wonderful story. Do we need a full stop, a question mark or an exclamation mark? Why not pause the video and have a think? What a wonderful story needs to have an exclamation mark at the end as it begins with the word what. Here is our final sentence. Do you have a pet? What punctuation mark do we need? Pause the video and have a think. Do you have a pet is a question, so it needs a question mark at the end of the sentence. Here is a summary of our learning. Punctuation in our sentences makes them easier to read and shows the reader where to take a breath. A sentence must begin with a capital letter and a sentence must end with a full stop, a question mark or an exclamation mark.